Welcome to the Brand Theory Podcast, the podcast for helping you uncover your passion, realize your purpose, and take the aligned action. Together, we're going to prove the theory that when we live our lives on brand, the possibilities become limitless. I'm your host, Danielle, branding expert and business coach. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Brand Theory Podcast, where we bring you conversations, resources, tips, and inspiration to help you live on brand in every area of your life, meaning in alignment with what you want to do and who you are to get you to achieve your goals sooner rather than later. Today we have an awesome guest, BarbaraJo Hatch. Before I get into all of that good stuff that you need to know, I wanted to give you a little brand tip of the day, of the week, whatever. So I am constantly exploring new marketing tactics. So I'll try new email marketing tactics. I'll try new social media. I'll try anything that somebody is talking about. I'll give it a try. See how I like it, and either recommend it or not recommend it for certain clients of mine. So something that I have been experimenting with is Pinterest. Now, this is something that on and off I've experimented with in different realms and different areas of marketing, for product-based businesses, services-based, and just for myself, for others, to just see what it is. The thing I like about Pinterest and what we need to understand about Pinterest is similar to TikTok, actually. It's operates as a search engine optimization. So what I mean by that is if you were to go to Google and say how to build a business in 5 days, you would pull up a bunch of articles or videos based on the meta tags that they put in there, based on keywords that they put in there, based on their SEO. So very similar things happen when you go to Pinterest. So when you go to Pinterest and say how to DIY patio furniture, which I literally did this morning, or how to make Oreo cheesecake, you'll have a bunch of recipes pop up, a bunch of articles, links to videos, links to website articles, website blogs, photos that you can reshare, that you can save to a board to go to later, or that you can just watch, send to a friend, anything. And you can send it outside the app very easily or save it inside the app very easily. The same thing is true with TikTok. You can search that literal thing, how to build patio furniture or how to make Oreo cheesecake. And it won't be as precise as Pinterest is, but that is essentially how TikTok works too. It's a social media platform, but it allows for that extra search ability. So with Pinterest, the idea that I have been exploring is they have this new thing called idea pins. And it allows you to kind of functions as a story, an Instagram story, and it allows you to put up slides, allows you to put up videos, it allows you to do the same functions you would on stories, but the difference is you can then say let's follow this recipe theme here. Say you're sharing your recipe for Oreo cheesecake. You can then in a notes section put what's needed. So you can put your ingredients listed in a bulleted format. So it's very easy to kind of get a quick glance at what's needed for this particular item, what's needed for this particular recipe, this craft, anything, but it pops up in stories. But the difference is they do not disappear. They stay. And what I've noticed is I really didn't expect much from this idea pin thing, but I put up a few podcast slides. So I put up my voiceover of podcast slides. I put up a carousel post. I put up a few other just random things I pulled down right from my story archive and put right up on Pinterest idea pins. And it took my monthly viewers in less than a week from 220 something to 2,000. Now what those numbers mean really just mean that's your potential reach based on the impressions that you got from that particular pin. So one pin got over 500 impressions, one pin everything got over 100. Most in the 200s, 300s range, but one got over 500. And it also can show you precisely how many people then clicked that pin to go check out your profile, how many people then went out of the app and visited a website. So those numbers are definitely lower. The clicks were still in like the 9s, 10s, 15, 20, up and down, but it's very interesting to see the reachability that happened by just trying out this one thing. So If you're a product-based business, service-based business, they do have slightly different functions, but more or less, you can have a much wider reach on Pinterest. Now, the follow through, I'm not so sure about yet. So that's the next step of what I'll be experimenting. So just a little thing for you to think about is maybe just explore if that's something that you want to do, is widen your reach and widen your brand exposure. Think about idea pins on Pinterest. And if you do try them, let me know, hit me up in the DMs or Pinterest DM messaging and let me know how it's working for you. Okay, let's get into today's episode. So like I mentioned, we are speaking today with BarbaraJo Hatch, or she often goes by BarbieJo. And she is a luxury home organizer and certified life coach, helping professional organizers attract high-paying clients. She has built a thriving business and now coaches other entrepreneurs to do the same. BarbieJo is a mother of 5 children and a farmer's wife. She's also a digital media creator based in El Paso, Texas, and a producer of Passion to Profit podcasts. Over the last decade, BarbieJo has organized hundreds of spaces, contributed to several publications, and teaches how to become a luxury home organizer. BarbieJo has enhanced her clients' homes across the globe and is now transforming businesses. She finds joy and fulfillment in helping women build confidence as they learn to refine their skill and build a successful business. So let's get into this episode. Welcome to the show, BarbaraJo.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to interview you. Low key, I have been a fan of your podcast for a little while now.
Oh, thank you.
It was one of the first ones when I was first starting out, like I kind of found and just binge listened to it. So this is a super full circle moment for me.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you.
So I know we heard a little bit about you in your intro, but I always like to start these by asking in your own words, kind of explain how you got to where you are today, what you do, and a little bit about the journey thus far.
Cool. All right. Well, buckle up. It's a ride. So I'm a mom of 5. I have 5 kids and I'm married to a farmer. And, I was in that phase of life where my baby was going off to kindergarten and now I had like the whole day to myself. And I was like, cool, what am I going to do? So I was already kind of thinking, maybe I want something for myself. And then lo and behold, we got hit with hail and it wiped out our entire crop. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, that's rough. So I had to really buckle down, we're cool. We deal with this on occasion. We know how to do it. And so, we just really watched our pennies for the next year. And then the following harvest, same thing. We got destroyed by frost. And so I was like, oh my gosh, 2 failed crops back to back. That set us in a world of hurt. So I found myself standing in line at a government office applying for assistance. And I was like, no more. I have to do something. There has to be something I can do to contribute to the family financially. So that's really when my feet got held to the fire. And I was like, okay, it's go time. I know I have something to offer the world. I just hadn't figured out what it was. So I started dabbling in MLMs because I was like, I'll just sell other people's stuff. That sounds easy enough. And I was introduced to an online business coach. And that was a foreign term to me. I didn't even know they existed, but she was offering a free consultation. And I was like, cool. So I signed up for it. And the first thing she asked me was, what can you see yourself doing for the next 10 years? And I was like, oh, definitely not selling skincare. So it took me a minute to really reflect and be like, what could I do and enjoy for the next 10 years?
Yeah.
And I looked around my environment at the time while I was on the phone with her. And I'm like, you know what? We're in the middle of our 7th move and everything's in boxes. It's chaos, but I'm thriving because it's organized chaos and I know where everything is and I'm not freaking out. And life is calm because I have a system in place and I'm organized. So I was like, light bulb, I love to organize. I've been doing it for my family for 20 years. And now I'm doing it for other people off and on, just to help out. I was like, I could turn that into a business. And she was like, bingo, there you go. And that's when my business was born, BarbieJo LLC. And so I kind of named my business after my childhood nickname. So it's named after both my grandmas. My name is so long. My name is Barbara Joy Lee. And in kindergarten, trying to spell that out was a task. Like I just knew my name was long. So I would start at one end of the page and I knew I had a lot of A's and R's, and I would just go into the end of the page and end with a Joe. And that's how I spelt my name for years. And so growing up, they shortened it to BarbieJo because it just rolls off the tongue a lot easier. And so I was like, bam, I'm just going to name my business BarbieJo LLC. So that's when my business was born. And it took a hot minute to recognize my abilities, my talents, my God-given gifts, and share them with the world.
Yeah.
I felt like such a poser. I'm like, who am I to call myself a professional organizer from one day to the next? I didn't have a degree in it. I didn't have any sort of certification formally. So I did all this research and I found out you don't need one to get started. But just to all of a sudden be like, hi world, I'm a professional organizer, felt like such a poser. I had imposter syndrome big time. So I had to overcome that first and foremost. And that was a ride. But once I got through that, I built this amazing business that was able to help sustain our family. It was able to help get us off of food stamps and pay for all of my kids' lessons and just continue life. So if we ever had another failed crop, it's okay because we have a backup plan.
That's awesome. But yeah, what a ride, what a journey. And like so many, I feel like imposter syndrome is just one of those necessary evils that you're going to experience, but it's all about just facing it kind of head on and just keep going. And because you're right, like who are we to then decide one day, I'm going to be a organizer. I'm going to be a brand coach. Like it's so foreign of a concept because it didn't exist 30 years ago. It didn't exist almost 20 years ago. So but then again, it's like, who are we not to do that? If we have a skill, if we have a knack for something that is going to help somebody make their life that much easier, who are we not to offer that? So I'm glad you stuck with it. I'm glad you're still doing it. So can you explain what that means when you organize someone's home or you help them organize someone's home? What does that mean? What does that entail? Who kind of comes to you to work? Give it to us all.
Okay, cool. So I went to actually open a business account at the bank and they were like, so what is it you do? I'm like, I'm a professional organizer. And they were like, okay, cool. And so they're typing away. And then like 5 minutes later, they're like, now what exactly do you do? I'm like, I organize homes. And they were like, oh, okay, got it. Okay. So they finished setting up my account. I go home and then I get a phone call and they were like, hey, it's us again at the bank. Can you explain what it is you do? Like they didn't get it. And so I'm like, okay, I am an interior designer of storage solutions. And they were like, oh, light bulb, got it. So yeah, there's this whole like education piece because people are like, are you the maid? Are you a cleaning service? Like, are you just removing people's junk? Like, what do you do? And so I've had to get really clear on explaining it to people in like one sentence. I design storage solutions. So I come into a space and make it flow and function without having piles of clutter everywhere.
Yeah.
So you can find your stuff, you know how much of it you have. So you're not buying multiples, you're not buried in chaos and overwhelm because of being surrounded by clutter. So that's what I do.
That's so cool. I feel like everyone needs that. I know I need that. We all have that, at least one room, one drawer that just needs a little extra love.
Totally. Yes.
So is it like all rooms that you do? Do you find a lot of people call you for kitchens or a lot of people call you for that secret room, or is it just kind of whatever?
So it was really funny because when I first started, I was taking anybody who would come my way.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I will do whatever you want me to do, because I was desperate for jobs, right? And I learned really quickly the type of client I do not want to work with. And I mean, there are people who have their expertise in various things. So paper and office organization is something I can do. Do I love to do it? No. But there are organizers out there that specialize in paper organization and photo organization. So that those would be your people. Or if you were like a hoarder, I learned really quickly that is not my cup of tea. I do not want to be dealing with the CPS cases where we're scraping dog poop off the ground and
Oh my
dealing with,
goodness.
you know, rotten things because they're so buried. So I learned that also really quickly, that that's not for me. But there are organizers that do specialize in hoarding. So there's that. So I learned my ideal client is somebody that is already fairly organized, that just wants their home taken like to the next level.
Yeah.
So when they walk in, it's beautiful, not only organized, but beautiful. So that's where the whole design piece comes in. So it's interesting, kind of like a contractor, you find an organizer that has a specialty in a specific area.
I didn't even know all of these different specialties existed, to be honest with you. I really didn't. But it's like, yeah, because so think about us. If we want to hire a business coach, we're not just going to hire any business coach. We have to hire a business coach that has experience or criteria of what we specifically need. Sometimes we don't always know that. Sometimes a lot of times it's like, all right, we started the business. Now we want to take it to that next level, right? And that's when you hire that business coach. It sounds like the same idea. Like, you know how to do it, you know what you've done, but now you're so close to your methods of organization that you can't see how to get to that next level. You might see what it looks like without that extra bird's eye view. And that sounds like where you kind of come in.
Totally. Yep.
I love that. Do you have a favorite type of room or area to help organize?
So my favorite is the pantry and the closet. Those are my two favorites.
Okay, so can you give us some tips about those two, of how we can like just break it down and be a little bit more organized?
Sure, absolutely. So first and foremost, everything needs a home. If something does not have a home, it's just going to end up anywhere. And it gets lost in the shuffle, and it gets lost in places that you didn't even know existed. And then you end up buying multiples because you don't have a specific area or zone designated for that type of thing. So whether it's spices or tools, whatever it is, you need to designate a zone for each type of thing.
Yeah.
And that helps get things off the floor. That's my second tip. Get everything off of the floor, because that's what makes things look cluttered, is when things are on the floor. So if you can put it on a shelf, hang it on a wall, do something with it, put it in a drawer, it will make your space look 100 times better immediately.
And do you have, let's go with the closet. Do you have, or it can be either. Do you have particular like types of organization cabinets or cubbies or something that you always that are your go-tos?
Yes. So I only use M Design products.
Okay.
They're amazing, and you can get them on Amazon, and they are just as good as the Container Store, but not as expensive.
Okay.
So I love them, and they have a wide range of styles. So depending on what your client's looking for, you can easily find something to meet their design aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. M Design, just M, the letter M Design.
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to check that out right after this, interview. Okay. So then you got into business coaching yourself, correct?
Yeah.
So when did that come into play?
So having, 5 kids, I had a very limited schedule. So I could only organize homes, from the time I dropped the kids off at school to the time they got home. And that was fine and well, but I wasn't able to scale as much as I would like to with just me. So that kind of evolved into me building a team, so I can send my team off to jobs that I can't take, and we can continue to grow. But then I thought, well, while I'm not in people's homes, I want to be helping other women do what I do.
Yeah.
I would love to like spread my brand across the world so people could become a BarbieJo LLC organizer and operate under my brand. So
Yeah.
now that's what I do.
I love that. So do you only work locally, or have you guys expanded beyond your state lines now?
Yeah, we've totally expanded. Anyone, anywhere can purchase my licensee or
Yeah.
become a licensee and work under me with my coaching. Like we coach you, we train you, and then you get to operate with our systems and our brand and our reputation.
That's amazing. Did you ever think when you were just, starting out that this would be what your brand has become?
Yeah, no, not in a million years. No.
That is awesome. And I mean, this next question may seem like crazy because of how organized you are, but you have 5 kids. And I know just from a friend of mine who is dating a farmer that that's always not easy too. Like, how do you do that all?
Yeah, I will say having your first was extremely difficult because you're their playmate. You're their
Mm,
source of entertainment. It's like 24/7, you are, entertaining. Once you have two, it gets a little easier. They can entertain each other. Once you have three, it gets a little difficult because it's a balancing act.
yeah.
You're not playing man to man anymore. You're in zone defense. And then anything after three, it's all the same. It's really
Yeah.
all the same. But we've had to be really organized and involve our family. So our
Hmm.
kids absolutely have responsibilities around our house to help everything function because I can't do it all by myself. And I'm going to have them help wherever they can.
Yeah. I don't have kids yet, but I'm a big fan of that mentality already.
Awesome.
So you have mentioned that you were able to market yourself and market your business. I don't know if you guys still do this without paying for ads. So can you explain how you do that?
Yeah, totally. So when I started, I had no budget. Like we were starting in the hole. And I knew I needed to make it work with whatever resources I could. So I started just dabbling with things. And then I had other organizers reaching out to me and they're like, how are you growing so fast? And I was like, oh, well, I'm just doing, X, Y, and Z. And they were like, oh, wow. So my marketing methods are all free and it's all about basically getting exposed wherever you can, getting exposure.
Mm,
So you are everywhere and anywhere you can be for free and just having that brand recognition.
yeah.
So really nailing down, your identity, your voice, your brand, and how you're showing up because you want people to start to associate your brand with you and what you do. So like that's just get loud and get noisy. I mean, utilize social media, utilize your listings on Google and Yelp and all those free listings. And then really leverage like I like to call them referral partners. So you like collaborate with people that are serving your same audience
Mm,
and do like deals, like work things out. We're like, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, kind of thing. So you're helping each other bring in business. That doubles your sales force right there. And it's not going to cost you anything out of pocket. And then asking for that referral. When you're
yeah.
done with the job, ask for the referral. I mean,
Yeah.
why not? That's money on the table right there.
The first couple of times you yourself had to ask for referrals, were you scared?
Yeah, for sure. It felt like almost like sleazy. Like,
Mm,
hey, you just paid me to do this job and now I want you to get me another job.
yeah.
That's how I was thinking about it. But
Right.
after, learning more, I decided to like make it a reward system and be like, hey, if you can bring me somebody that could benefit from this, I'll give you 10% off your next session or your
Mm,
next coffee's on me, little ways to just make it fun for them.
yeah. And coffee goes a long way.
Yeah, right.
So, how do you say, in addition to all of that, how do you feel that you set your brand apart from others who were competing in the competition field?
So I knew right away, like some of my favorite brands, just the way they appear in the world are like Chanel and
Mm.
Nordstrom and Gucci. And just the way they appear was immediately, I knew that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to have a very elegant, very sophisticated appearance to the world and show up as a professional, not just a, Mickey Mouse like hobbyist. I wanted to show up from day one as, you know what, this is what I do and I'm good at it and I'm going to serve you in a professional way.
Yeah. And I'm sure that kind of comes across to you on every platform, from the day you show up to the first phone call to the social media posts. It's like all about that consistency in that brand recognition.
Totally. Yeah. And just being consistent with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your brand's preferred social media platform these days? Because they're always changing. So I always like to ask that question of
They
where are
are.
you guys hanging out right now?
So we're split. We're still 50-50 with Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. We're
Have
starting
you
to dabble with TikTok a little bit, but that's like stretching my brain right now.
I actually think you guys do really well. There's a whole niche of like TikTok organizing on there.
Ah,
And I'm sure you guys would blow up over there when you're ready. I know it's a big
yeah,
fee.
yeah.
Like I'm still just dipping my toe in it, but um
Awesome.
so I feel like we got so much value in such a short amount of time, but I want to ask you, is there anything else that you feel you want to kind of communicate, any inspiration or any like kind of last thoughts? I do have one more question, but I will say that I'll ask you that first. Anything
Okay.
else you want to kind of share with us today?
Yeah. I would say every single one of us has something unique to offer the world, and we should not just sit on it. We need to put it out there. And I know it's scary and it's unpredictable, but you just need to decide and then just do it.
Yes,
Just do it. Don't wait. Just do
absolutely.
it.
Amen, sister. I love it. So the one question I always ask all my guests is, we define the term on brand here as choosing everyday choices, both in your business and your life, that are authentic to you and your personality and can benefit all areas, such as your life and your business. Was there ever a time in your life where you were kind of off brand or not making decisions that were totally on brand to your goals, who you are, and everything in between? And how did you kind of navigate back from that?
Yeah, for sure. When I first got started, I was just desperate for the money, right? I just needed dollars in my pocket so I could buy food.
Yeah.
And so I was desperate for anyone and anyone. So I was targeting everyone with a pulse. And that was bringing me in people that I didn't necessarily enjoy working for. And I started to dread my job. I
Yeah.
was like, who am I going to meet today? Kind of with dread. And that's when I realized, hold on, hold on. I have complete control over this.
Yep.
Let's steer this in another direction and set up some boundaries and be very clear on who it is we want to serve.
It's so hard to do that sometimes because you get nervous of, okay, well, what if I do that and then the money stops coming in or the clients stop coming? But
Right.
once you can get through that fear, that reward is so much more than you can even imagine of sticking to, because everything then becomes clear. How you show up is different because you're more excited to then sell what you have or to put out the offer. And then how you're talking about it becomes different because it's now the only thing you're talking about. And it could just ripple effects of when you make that decision of, I'm going to work with this type of person and only this person type of person. I'm only going to talk to that person on social media. The results are tenfold.
Yeah. No, they really truly are. Yes.
Absolutely. Good. Well, tell us more where we can find you. So you're on Facebook and Instagram. What's your website, or is there anything else you want the audience to take a look at?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, BarbieJo.Hatch, or on Facebook, BarbieJo, or my website is BarbieJo.com.
And we'll link all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for this super fun conversation. I'm literally going on Amazon right now.
I love it. Love it. Thanks for having me.
We'll talk to you soon.